Hey, what's going on, guys? Dubs here, bringing another Let's Play of Dominions 4. I've decided to go with Marverni. There were only a couple suggestions. One of them, or maybe two, came in a little late. So I had already decided on Marverni. Marverni is a nation I have tested out a couple times and, quite frankly, just wasn't feeling them at all. So I thought this was a good pick for the channel. Of course, trying to focus on nations that I normally wouldn't play in my own time. So, without further ado, what I want to do differently with this playthrough is I'm going to have this video here as like a pre-game discussion. I'm going to go over the units, and then I'm going to show you a couple gods that I was looking at, and take a vote on what people want to see. The reason for that is just to kind of, in the past I've mashed that into the starting turns of the game, and I feel like probably some people aren't interested in like hearing about the god and my rationale and things like that, and they just want to see the start of the actual strategy phase, so to speak. So you can just skip this video if you're not interested in hearing about the units and discussing them, etc. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is just a random game. I have a game set up for each age where every single nation is playable, and we're looking at Marverni here. So let's go to recruit units. And very quickly, of course, we have our scout unit, fairly typical. 50 stealth, good stuff there. We have 3 units on foot. They have 3 clans, the Marvernis, the Ambibates, and the Carnutes. So these are all very similar. They all have inspirational +1. They all have pretty good stats. 12 strength, 12 attack, 15 defense, 13 hit points, above average there. Size 4 shield, a broadsword, 60 leadership. Similarly, the Ambibate, 1 extra attack. I think the rest looks pretty comparable. Again, 60 leadership. And then the Carnute Chieftain, these are Berserkers, +3, and also Forest Survival. 60 leadership again, an extra hit point, less defense. So, pretty straightforward. The Epony Chieftain is our cavalry leader, 80 in leadership, so pretty solid there. 18 defense skill. He's got a javelin, a broadsword, and again, inspirational +1. So we actually have commanders that I think are pretty good. You know, I mean, I still wouldn't recommend building one of these over mages, but if you do, you're getting that inspirational +1. That's pretty nice. The Vergobret is a old priest, level 1. Oh wow, he's got leadership 80. Didn't notice that. So that's interesting. I did not notice that before. We got the Sequani Stargazer. He's an Astral Mage 1 with Fortune Teller 3. So we can go into the Misfortune tree here. I think that that's probably the smart way to go. And then we got the Gutauder, who is a Nature 1, Priest 1, also Sacred, with a possibility of Nature 2, Astral, Earth, or Water 1. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of Astral already. He's poison resistant. Okay, supply bonus, 10. Never a bad thing. 135 gold. Pretty solid unit right there, I think. The Druid, 175. He's Earth 1, Astral 1. He's a Priest level 1. And then he can also get Earth and Astral 2. And then also, again, Nature and Water. Pretty exclusive to Water, Earth, Astral, and Nature in this nation. So, not many other options. We got the Boarlord here, strangely off to the side from the other infantry units. But he's a Sacred. Berserker 5, again, inspirational. And finally, the Elder Druid. Old Age, unfortunately. Another Sacred unit. Priest level 2, Astral and Earth 2. So right there, boom, boom, pretty nice. And then you have a good chance at Earth 4 and Astral 4. That gets us the Dwarven Hammers. That gets us the Crystal Coins. So pretty solid. You can get Nature 2 and Water 2 out of here. So very solid unit. Only 340 gold, slow to recruit. The Old Age is unfortunate. My music is way too loud. Okay, we're good to go. Let's take a look at the units down here. We got a Marverni Hornblower. These are the standard bearers. I hate these units. I find they always get picked off in the middle of a crowd. I don't know if we'll... I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are on these. No protection means 1 arrow, and he's a goner. And again, we have the 3 classes. So we got the Marvernis, the Ambibates, and the Carnutes. This is a Slinger. I don't think slingers are going to be very useful unless we run into something without helmets, kind of like so that's something to keep in mind. Very cheap unit. We've got the Marverni Javelineer, basically a spear-wielding javelin unit. You'll notice the 0 protection. Pretty key there. Pretty key. Alright, the bare-chested warrior, protection 3. He has no body armor. He only has a helmet and a size 4 shield. So again, a very cheap unit that I find almost worthless because of the protection there. You go up to the noble warrior, and this is more along the lines of what you're looking at. You got 11 gold, 17 resources, 14 defense. He's wielding a broadsword, so nice little weapon there. Size 4 shield, good stats all around. Again, these Marvernis, man, very durable, 12 hit points, pretty high in terms of hit points. And then on to the Ambibates. Again, the bare-chested, 3 protection. They have better defense and lower hit points from the looks of it. Let's double check that. Oh, hit points are the same. Better defense, though. Okay. Again, 3 protection. Not going to do it for me. Here we got the Noble, though. So let's just look at this guy. He's 3 gold more than the Marverni Noble. And I believe his attack and defense is 1 higher, if I'm not mistaken. That is correct. Protection is the same. So all in all, the Ambibates pretty much better in every way than the Marverni. Only 3 gold more. I think that's worth it. Again, broadsword there. Now let's look at the Carnutes. Again, protection 3, no armor. I think garbage, okay? Let's go on to Noble Warrior. So these are the axe wielders, similar to the chieftains that we have. Lower defense. Again, you got that sword giving you, I think, +2 or 3 to your defense, if I'm not mistaken. So your defense is lower. Protection's the same across the whole army when it comes to the nobles. This guy's got an extra hit point. So, I don't know. What's the damage? 18 versus 17. I want to say, well, I thought broadswords had piercing or slash. When you look at this, let's see, length 1, length 2. Okay, that's the difference there. So you got maybe a little bit of, I don't know. I guess you got a chance to, repel a size 1 weapon if you're using a broadsword. Alright, not so big. Either way. I think they're both very good options here. A Pony Knight, 30 gold. This is one of those light cavalries. They have the javelin, they have the broadsword, but they don't have that hoof attack. So to me, I don't like these kind of cavalry units. Maybe we can field a couple, get them in the back lines, but you don't have that 2 attacks per unit. And I think that's a pretty big impediment to that unit being very useful. And last but not least is our Boar Warrior. He's a sacred unit, of course. Berserker 4, Forest Survival, and a Bodyguard. They're using that axe again, but I think a very solid unit. 14 hit points. Berserking is never bad, I don't think. In fact, I think Berserking is amazing for the expansion phase. When I first started playing with Marverni, kind of testing them out, I had a hard time expanding, and then I started switching over to Boar Warriors, and I found that I was expanding much better than before. So I think that's a very good unit. I think the Ambibates and I think the Carnutes are all very useful. Now that brings me to one other thing, and let me know what your thoughts are on this, because I kind of think this nation, especially being Earth and Nature as their 2 primary paths, really lends itself to army buffing spells. So, for example, Marble Warriors, Weapons of Sharpness, Strength of Giants, etc. I think that that's going to work really well, and especially the army or the armor boosting spells could be really interesting for these bare-chested warriors. Because if you think about it, I can get almost, resource-wise, almost 2 bare-chested to the nobles, right? And stat-wise, I mean, strength and attack are 1 less, hit points are 2 less, morale is 1 less. That's kind of iffy. But if I throw down like Marble Warriors or something to that effect on these guys, and it buffs their protection to 15, which is the same as it would be if I hit the Noble, then why not go with the bare-chested warriors? That's my thinking. I don't know for certain, but I think that is a valid strategy. Let me know your thoughts. Let's take a look at the god. Alright, so here was my first thought for a god of Marverni. As I said, I don't think that they're an amazing expansion army, so I think that a dragon makes a lot of sense. The nature dragon is minus 20 points for Marverni, so that appeals to me more than the ice or the fire dragon. And also the python, which is an earth 2 base or something like that. So I kind of think that this is the best dragon choice and would be great for expansion, get you started in the early game. I took nature 4 just to get to that HP boost for the boar lords. 9 in Dominion, get that awe effect, and also to let you build more boars. I think the boar warriors are really good, so that's distinctly possible to try to mass those. And then I got order productivity 1. I think you can probably get away with the order 1. I think productivity is going to be more limiting, but those boar warriors are 30 gold, so it probably doesn't hurt to have some order, and you could probably go higher too. It's never a bad thing to have either of those, I don't think. With the exception of productivity, if you have like 5 forts, then, you know, you don't necessarily need high resources in each one. Now, I did put Heat 1 and Growth 2 solely to counter the effects of Old Age. So, Old Age, if I recall correctly, is it does better in Heat Dominions. If you're in Cold Dominion, it hurts you more. And Growth is the same way. So, I put those down because our Elder Druids are Old Age. And then, of course, the Misfortune is because we do have the... whatchamacallits? Soothsayers? No, nope, that's Sourmatia. They're the Sequani Stargazer. I can't think of the damn trait that gives them fortune telling? I can't remember, guys. You know what I'm talking about, though. So we can deal with the Misfortune. Shouldn't be too bad. Drain is 0. I couldn't really fit him in there, and I think our research is going to be fine without going into the magic area. So that's god number 1. I think it's not as fun as god number 2, but I think it's the smarter choice. Gristlevein. So I took the Tawaz of War, and I solely picked him because I wanted to have a god that would like beat ass in combat. So I went with a Fire 4, Air 4, Earth 4, right? I'm thinking you got Mistform, you got Summon Earth Power to give you a little reinvigoration, and then you got Fire Shield. So that's pretty nasty. Alright, you're already taking significantly less damage because of Mistform. You can forge yourself a Robe of Shadows because we have Astral Mages to make you ethereal. And then you got Fire Shield to do damage to people who are trying to hit you. And then you got Vine Shields because we're also nature. And this guy right here can forge yourself a Firebrand, or you can forge yourself a Frostbrand with one of the water mages you get. So, pretty sexy looking guy, I think, if I'm not mistaken. The only thing I will warn you about if you take this guy is to make sure you put a helmet on him, because if you run into a group of ogres, they will do a boatload of damage when they hit you in the head, and your Mistform will be nothing. Again, Dominion 9, give him that awe. Productivity, Order 1. We got the Heat, and this time Growth is 3, so a little better for our mages. Misfortune 1. And the other thing I will say that I think is especially good about this god, who I believe, if I'm not, he's dormant. Yeah, the other god was awake, of course. Not only do we get the reinvigoration for all of our mages, who are all sacred units, but the air will give us precision +2, I believe. So all good things here. And the fire, of course, will give us a little bit of attack bonus on our boar warrior. So I like the looks of this guy. I think he can be really fun, but I don't know if he's necessarily the best choice. And also, keep in mind, this game, I think I'm going to do a random map, because I was planning on doing Volanus, and that map is very similar to your Wraparound in that it has a crap load of rivers and mountains and stuff, and I think that really impedes the AI, so I'm thinking I'm going to try a random map Mighty AI and see if I can hang. I believe it will be significantly harder. So let me know what your thoughts are. Which god would you prefer? Or do you have an alternative god that you would suggest? Go ahead and put it down there and I'll take a look. And if anyone happens to notice alternative suggestions down there, feel free to vote for those as well. And that's it for the pregame show for Marverni. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll see you in the next one.